What if the person who destroyed your life was also the person who showed you their most broken self? What if your kidnapper cried in front of you, confessed their fears, and asked, not for freedom, but for understanding? And what if, after everything, you forgave them? This is the true crime story of Emily Carter and the man who abducted her, Daniel Hayes, and the choice that shocked an entire courtroom. Emily Carter was 29 years old. She lived in Portland, Oregon, worked as a graphic designer, quiet life, predictable routines. Friends described her as cautious, independent, the kind of person who always locked her doors. Emily wasn't reckless. She wasn't naive, which is what makes what happened next so disturbing. Because on the morning of October 12th, Emily did everything right, and it still wasn't enough. At 1:01 a.m., Emily noticed a gray sedan slowing beside her. At 8:43, it stopped. Witnesses later reported seeing a man step out quickly, nervous but determined. That man was Daniel Hayes. There was no screaming, no chase, just shock, a sudden blow, and darkness. By the time anyone realized Emily was missing, she was already gone. Emily woke up on a thin mattress in a concrete basement, no windows, no phone, no clock, just one swinging light bulb. She screamed. No response. This wasn't a random holding space. It was prepared. And whoever brought her here never intended to let her leave quickly. When Emily finally saw him, she couldn't reconcile what she expected with what stood in front of her. Daniel Hayes didn't look like a monster. He looked exhausted, mid-30s, unshaven, hands visibly shaking as he placed food on the floor. He avoided eye contact, and that scared her more than rage ever could. Captivity changes how the brain works. Emily learned Daniel's routines, the sound of his car, the way his footsteps changed when he was anxious. Daniel never beat her, never restrained her after the first day, but fear lived in every silence. And then Daniel started talking. Daniel talked about losing his construction job, about crushing debt, about growing up in a violent household. He didn't justify what he'd done, but he didn't fully condemn it either. Emily listened. At first, because she had to. Later, because she couldn't stop herself. Experts call it trauma bonding. When a victim forms an emotional connection with their abuser, not out of love, but survival. Emily hated herself for responding, for laughing once, for feeling relief when Daniel left the room unharmed. The walls didn't just imprison her body, they trapped her mind. One night, Daniel broke down. He sat on the floor and cried uncontrollably. "I didn't want to become this," he said. "I didn't want to hurt you." Emily looked at him and said the words that shifted everything. "You already have." For the first time, the power wasn't his. 3 months after her abduction, Emily noticed the basement door was unlocked. Daniel had left in a rush. This was her chance, but she froze. Running meant his arrest, his imprisonment. And despite everything, that mattered to her. Not enough to stay, but enough to haunt her. Emily ran barefoot through the night. She collapsed on a stranger's porch, screaming. Police arrived minutes later. After 93 days, Emily Carter was free. Daniel Hayes was arrested 2 days later. No resistance, no denial, he confessed. The evidence was overwhelming, but the most shocking moment of this case was still coming. When Emily entered the courtroom, Daniel couldn't look at her. The judge asked if she wished to address the defendant. Everyone expected anger. They were wrong. Emily stood and said, "What you did to me was unforgivable. You stole my safety, my peace." Then she paused. "But I refuse to let hatred define my future. I forgive you, not for you, but for me." The courtroom gasped. Daniel was sentenced. Forgiveness did not erase justice. Emily struggled for years, nightmares, anxiety, therapy. But forgiveness gave her something control never could: freedom. Daniel, in prison, began counseling, accepted responsibility. Redemption didn't free him, but it changed him. This isn't a story about excusing evil. It's a story about refusing to carry it forever. Emily Carter forgave her kidnapper, not because Daniel Hayes deserved mercy, but because she deserved peace.